Welcome back to episode 92 of the Disorganized Wizards Club podcast. My name is Alex. I'm here as always with Adam.
Hello.
And Cam.
Hey.
And we're a group of Ottawa-based players that play just about anything and everything we can qualify for. We talk about decks, tournament stories, just about anything to help you and ourselves get better at Magic.
Oh, most definitely.
You know what? I think we're almost at 100 episodes now. I don't think we need to say that whole intro anymore.
I think we do.
I
so?
like it, yeah.
I like it. I think it's good. I think it's
people
like,
understand.
Yeah, but
but if you're new, like,
every other podcast has an intro, but theirs is all pre-recorded, so like it doesn't have that personal touch. It's not as, grassroots.
doing it live off the top like that, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, then we can
It's endearing, I think.
mess around with it,
I
try
mean,
and
we
throw
could
you
do
off.
a legitimate, pre-recorded intro.
No, I don't want to.
I do produce music. I could make something totally original. And
Right.
It would be great.
It would be better, but overall worse.
I think that,
We could put sweet sound bites in it.
I think also switching up the intro on occasion or the funny ad-lib moments where Cam and I say something and you're trying to do it and you start laughing mid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's an endearing quality.
Like this, we wouldn't have this quality, witty banter had it been pre-recorded.
That's what the people want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what they come here for.
I mean, if you want to pre-record it, we can change our name to the OWC.
Yeah, that's the other
The
thing.
organized.
Yeah. Yeah, right? That's just on a level that we're not ready to face yet. Maybe at episode 100, we'll
100?
sell out.
We'll do something different.
Yeah.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah. Well, they're all different, though.
Yeah.
They're all very disorganized.
Yeah. I guess that is very on
So,
brand. So
I had a listener message me being like, man, you guys was this scripted or are you guys truly this disorganized? You guys were very efficient. You had clearly notes in mind and you went through 10 deck lists in an hour, but then you forgot to plug your sponsor.
We did, though. We added it.
No, it
we
was at
added
the
it
start.
in, right, but we
Yeah.
did forget during the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was still there. We added it in afterwards.
Yeah, no, I heard that we did because I went back to check
Yeah.
when he said that. But yeah, I can't do everything right.
Well, otherwise, yeah, we would be off brand.
Who, by the way, is our sponsor?
Well, let me tell you. The Wizards Tower here in Ottawa. WizardTower.com, MTGCanada.com. Check them out for all your Magic single needs. Free shipping on singles in Canada. Great events here in Ottawa. Yeah.
They got
I bought a D&D 5th edition player's handbook from them as well recently.
God damn, you're a nerd.
Oh, yeah. I haven't played in a long time. I hadn't played 5th, but I had a friend ask me to come play, so.
I think the biggest news is Tower has a 2K Open. Not this weekend, but the next, August 4th.
Yeah, it's a modern 2K Open.
Modern 2K Open on the 4th of August, I want to say.
Pro
Yep,
Tour
it's
Wizards
August 4th.
Tower.
Yep, it's August 4th. It's a
Yeah.
$2,000 cash tournament. Oh, it's not cash anymore.
Store credit.
Sorry, store credit tournament. But
Yeah.
still, $2,000. You can win yourself a lot of store credit.
Yeah, don't pretend like you'd spend that on anything other than Magic cards anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking cash matters in 2018.
Oh, mega
well. So, yeah, but it's modern, and I think that,
It's the first time they've ever done modern. It's
Yeah.
usually standard and limited, and now it's modern and limited.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
for a lot of listeners, it's going to be
It's gonna be
good
sweet.
news for them,
Yeah.
and they're probably really excited about it. So,
Yep.
yeah, come on down, play modern versus us, and come get stomped. God, modern player right here. I'm going to play a fair deck and then come on the podcast the week after, just I'm never playing a fair deck of modern again. This is stupid.
Ah, man.
Which is what happens every time I play a fair deck of modern. I just get stomped. I'm like, why am I playing a fair deck? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I work, but if the off chance if I do work, I'll lend you Tron, and then you can just smash people.
I mean,
Playing
assuming
fair in 2018. Come on, man.
assuming I know how to mulligan with Tron, I'll just be like, cube. And then just do nothing and die on turn 6.
It's not hard, man.
Well, I am pretty dumb.
Just top it off the
Oh,
back of your
actually,
limited
what I'm going to...
performance.
Yeah, exactly. The limited, no problem. What I'll do is I'll go back and listen to our podcasts on when you talked about mulling with Tron, and then, I will have helped myself
Get better at Magic.
get better at Magic.
Okay. That is what we do here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, deal. I'll play Tron.
Sweet.
Maybe.
Deck's great.
No, I'll probably just play John and then just be mad about it later.
It won the team event. It finished first and second in the team event this past weekend
yeah,
at SCG.
More importantly, though, this last weekend, somebody played Grixis Death Shadow and Legacy and
Oh,
top
yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
Oliver Tomenko.
Yeah, former U.S. national champion
Yeah.
who says you need expensive dual lands to play Legacy.
Nah, just play Blood Crypt and Watergrave. Easy game.
Yeah.
Deck looks sweet. In
Yeah.
Legacy, it's a good deck. I think it's a good deck. It's a fine port, has interaction, has Brainstorm, Preordain, Ponder, Daze, Force of Will.
Definitely looks
You get to
sweet.
pay life for Force of Will.
Yeah.
You play Thoughtseizes. Those are good in Legacy.
Man.
Especially now that Shaman's gone, that's probably made the deck a lot better. So
Yeah, you just need something to fill the 1-drop slot.
yeah. Well, there was a time where Thoughtseize just like, I don't know, it just felt like too slow almost in Legacy. Like it was fine. But just like putting stuff in the graveyard just always felt bad. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if they played a Deathrite on one and you played a Thoughtseize like on the draw, like it just feels awful. But now,
and we're starting to see a resurgence of old decks that we haven't seen before, like in a while, like Sneak and Show. That deck hasn't popped up in a very long time.
yeah,
Stoneblade.
In fact, Stoneblade.
God, that deck's so
Yeah,
vile.
Yeah, that deck was awful when Shaman was a card.
Yeah.
Because it was just too fair and slow.
Yeah.
And Shaman was just fairer, faster.
Unfair. Like, it was not.
It was fair, but like, it's just a hyper fair card. Like, it's a fair card in the sense that like just creates advantage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's fast. It's fast. Like, it's a really fast, fair card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fair. I don't know if that's a good word for it, but.
Didn't people play Deathrite, Shaman, Stoneblade?
Yeah, Deathblade. That's what
Yeah.
the name comes from.
Yeah.
That deck sucked.
Of course it did.
Because you don't need Stoneforge. You just need Deathrite, and you're good to go. But yeah, no. That deck was medium. But
Yeah.
Stoneblade coming back isn't surprising. There used to be lots of versions of Delver and Stoneblade that existed. Like, do you remember there used to be a Jeskai Delver deck? What a world.
Yeah, it won a GP.
I know.
Owen Turtenwald won a GP with a Jeskai
Yeah.
Delver deck. Man.
And like it was just Delver with Stoneforge, you know? And
Man.
Sword
Look
Splasher
how
as a
far
lightning
we've
bolt
come.
if they need it, you know? Like you can play that again now.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. All the Delver decks you still see doing well are still Grixis.
Yeah. Lands is like really showed up at this tournament too. Yeah, Grixis Delver.
Man, this list isn't playing Bomat, though. Not impressed. No, thank you. But yeah, Lands won this tournament.
Storm actually playable again now though, right? Like Storm top 8'd,
Yep. Yeah.
which like that's a deck
We
that
haven't
was,
seen Storm in a while.
Right. Think about it, man. Like that's a deck that was just gone almost, it felt like. Like all these unfair combo decks like Sneak and Show,
Mm-hmm.
Storm, like it just felt like they're gone. Like they just couldn't exist in a world of like Deathrite Leovold plus Disruption and Hand Disruption. Like they just couldn't, like Counter Magic and Hand Disruption plus that kind of pressure.
Yeah, true.
They just couldn't compete. So Legacy looks like, honestly, like this may be the healthiest, like look at the Legacy top like decks. This looks so healthy.
Yeah. Miracles, 8th place. Stoneblade, Lands, Storm, Sneak and Show, Death Shadow.
We haven't seen Infect in a long time, too,
Lands.
right?
Like, Infect was dead.
Yeah.
What are you going to play? Glistener Elf into a Deathrite Shaman?
Yeah, make it a 0-1. Or a 1-0. Or
Right?
yeah.
Like, it just, yeah.
0-1.
Infect was, and like, also with Leovold, like, it was just too much. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
they had such good creatures. They were playing a bunch, like the Leovold decks, I mean, not Leovold himself, like, but they were playing a bunch of Baleful Strixes. Like, it just, Infect just had such a bad time.
Yeah.
But now, like, with the format wide open, if people are going to play combo again, Infect looks awesome. Because Infect will smash combo decks.
Oh, yeah.
Not close.
Of course.
So,
What
like,
Infect does.
yeah, I mean, this looks healthy, right? This looks like a diverse metagame.
Yeah. So the winning team played Lands in Legacy, Mono Green Tron and Modern, and Mono Green Stompy in Standard.
Mono
I
green
guess
domination. Just
purists.
mug.
I guess it's not really Mono Green though. I'm pretty sure he's playing black. Yeah, he's playing black for Scrap Heap.
Yeah, well,
And then
he
some
listened to the
sideboard
podcast.
cards.
Yeah, as we said.
Good for him.
I'm glad people like the deck dump
Vine
last
main
week,
deck,
by the
yeah.
way. Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
had that guy who messaged us. I can just say it here, like, he asked about, like, a list with Snake. I think, yeah, you should play Vine Mare main in Snake decks. After having tested it, finally, I got around to it the last couple days.
I was looking at a couple of the
Oh,
results
boy.
from this weekend, and a lot of people still have 3 or 4 in the sideboard, which is generally like how these changes happen. Is people will put it in the sideboard and then they realize like how nuts it is when they bring it in, and then it moves to the main.
Yeah, you just putting counters on that guy is like obviously Hydra, like basic, like similar, but just always having hexproof is good. But man, the not block clause is just laughable.
Yeah.
Like you play against the Nico Bolas decks, and it's just like
You're laughing.
You're just so funny. Like they can't block. Like I was playing green black last night and on like arena, and I played against a guy playing, like blue black splash Bolas Scarab God deck,
Yeah.
and he played like a glint sleeve and like a Bolus and a Scarab God, and yeah, none of them could block. And then he like reanimated stuff, and none of those could block. And he died to 4 hits to a vine, or I think it was 3 because I put a bunch of counters on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Like,
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, game 2, I just like had an elf, and I just turned 3 Vine Mare, turned 4 Vine Mare, and his only creature I could block was a Champion of Wits, but it only has 2 power. So like, yeah, it just, I don't know. That card's really dumb.
Is this the second coming of Thragtusk? Some green creature printed in response to a dominant meta?
No, because they didn't print. They didn't
No.
like think like black was like dominant.
I think it was a bit of a mistake.
Plus, Tusk was like way better than this.
Yeah.
And
But
like, a value mid-range card. This is not that.
Right, but like the same potential idea. Green, 5 power, good against the good decks at the time.
3 toughness as well, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter how many spears you got. You can't hit this thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's fine. I don't think Vine Mare is a mistake. It's fine. It's
Well,
really
yeah,
hexproof creatures are obnoxious.
Yeah, like we were talking about this briefly before the show, and I said that it's kind of crazy that this is one of the biggest standard formats we've ever had, and then the best deck is a mono green deck.
After being unplayable for like 2 seasons straight.
And it wasn't unplayable last season. It was still having good results.
Yeah.
But
not winning any like major paper tournaments.
Yeah, with the addition of Vine Mare now, though, like the matchups that you're supposed to have a rough time with are very, very winnable just because of Vine Mare.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black decks that are just chock full with removal should technically crush you, but they get smashed because what are they going to do? You have a Vine Mare.
Yeah.
You're dead.
And Steel Leaf Champion is kind of a messed up card too.
Oh yeah, that card's messed up.
Yeah, that card's really messed up. Did you see the list Dylan posted in chat? The Modern list in Modern.
Oh, I did.
Did he 5-0'd in Modern with?
Yeah.
It's 4 Steel Leaf Champion in Modern with like Noble Hierarchs. So you can just like turn 2. It's like a nihilist.
6/5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what was it? It had that.
But it has the combo of I can't remember now.
It was Fauna Shaman, and then is it the red creature that you discard a card from your hand and it deals damage equal to that? Mana cost?
Yeah. And he was 15ing people with it.
Oh, it starts with the C.
I can't
something.
remember. I'll pull up the list. Like,
yeah, we'll find it. We'll jump back to this, but yeah,
So-
that list was weird.
If the problem these mid-range decks are having is that they can't block a Vine Mare because all their creatures are black, do we just go back to like bug mid-range and play our own Vine Mares? Let them bash into each other, and then we can Scarab God back both ours and theirs?
yes. Yeah, because if we play a green mid-range deck, we get to play Green Seeker in Standard. That card's busted.
Get to play what?
Green Seeker. The Dryad.
Oh,
is that
yeah,
what
the
it's
Dryad
called?
Green Seeker, yeah.
Green Seeker.
That card's unbeatable.
Yeah.
I don't want to play that card in Standard.
Why not?
No, we just play Servant.
You hate drawing lands?
We're obviously just playing Servant because we need to cast our spells. Dude, you get to play
Green-
Servant and Thorn Lieutenant, so you have 2 good 2-drops and Glintsleeve if you want to have a bunch of 2-drops.
Man. So I was playing a bug mid-range deck a while ago because I wanted to test out Nissa, whatever her name was.
Green Blue Nissa.
Green Blue, yeah.
Steward of Elements.
Steward of Elements. Because I thought like she's a 3-mana planeswalker. I wanted to try it out. I think I've talked about it on the podcast.
Mhm.
You can activate Green Seeker, and if it's not a land, you can see if it's worth zeroing Nissa. Otherwise, you just plus Nissa.
Oh wow, that is a combination of cards.
That is confirmed a combination.
Yeah, that's nuts. The consistency on just like putting things into play for free.
It does block Bomat Courier pretty well.
Yeah, like I'm gonna try it
All right.
just to see.
Okay.
I think there's something there.
Maybe.
That card is maybe in the top it's easily in the top 10 limited cards in that set, though, in M19.
Oh, Green Seeker's nuts.
I think it's
limited.
the top 10. I think you would first pick it over most rares. It's
Not most rares. Some rares.
it's nuts.
I haven't played enough of this format. I haven't drafted it yet, surprisingly.
So
We're going to do that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I've been drafting it a decent amount, but on Arena.
Yeah, that's
And it's because you draft against robots. We already talked about this, but we'll talk about it on the show. Because you draft against robots, a lot of weird things happen. You can't read signals because there aren't really any.
Yeah.
And the bots like prioritize certain cards
Strangely, yeah.
instead of archetypes. So yeah, I found a lot of my decks just come out very mediocre, where I think normally they would have been a little better.
It's almost like if you try and draft correctly and normally, like your decks will turn out medium. But if you know you're drafting against bots and you just try and like force archetypes with cards that you've come to notice they don't pick that highly, your deck will always be nuts.
Yeah.
You have like
2
2 styles of drafting.
Yeah, you play around like less powerful archetypes that are better than some of their parts when combined, right?
Yeah.
Like zombies.
Yeah, in Hour of Devastation, like the bots don't take zombies cards. Like the uncommon zombies, you'll get most of them if you just start forcing white black.
Yeah.
But this is just like another point that like Moto and to a greater extent Arena, they're just different games. They're not Magic. Like there's so much more different. Like I haven't really played Arena, but Adam recently got it, and I was like watching a couple of games, and like the information difference in that like it will force you to pass priority if you don't have spells.
No, you can set full control mode,
Sure.
but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, like
Because there's no way to like F through the turn, you know?
yeah. So in like most cases, like people won't have that on. So like you just get so much more information that it's a fundamentally different game, like in close matches.
It is fundamental because like yesterday it was a close game and a guy he just drew and it passed back his turn right away, and I was like, oh sweet, like I'm free to just resolve and play whatever I want. It's like that's how it works. Also, the card in the modern list is Kragenwick Cremator, in which he's playing 4 of them. This deck list is actually so funny looking through it, dude. Like it's actually so funny. So if anyone wants a modern brew, we'll post this with the show notes.
Let me pull up this card.
Because it's like
So
this deck list is so funny, and dude, it has a Surok the Hunt color in it. Main. Okay, yeah, Kragenwick Cremator is I have it up already. I can just do it. It's a 2 colorless, 2 red, 5/4 giant shaman, and when it comes into play, you can discard a card you do discard a card at random, and if you discard a creature card this way, it deals damage equal to its power to target player. So the combo here is Fauna Shaman. You only don't have any cards left in your hand besides the 1 creature you're going to discard to Fauna Shaman. You go get a World Spine Worm,
yeah.
and you cast Cremator, and you 15 them.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Because then what the plan here is we played a Hierarch on 1, a Steel Leaf Champion on 2.
Right, so they're at 15.
We hit them once and then they killed our Steel Leaf, so we played a Fauna Shaman and dumped our hand. And then we got him with the Cremator. Deck's actually so funny, man. I'll post the list I'll post the list with the show when we post it.
Just a turn 4 format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny.
That's pretty funny.
Speaking of wacky modern decks, next week we have to make sure we talk about this Affinity list.
Is this a preview?
Yeah, it's a preview for next week. I'm gonna sit down and play some games over Skype and screen share with a friend who is currently the Moto trophy leader in modern.
Yeah.
And like he's not a full-time grinder, you know. This guy's
No.
a full-time job. He's a PhD researcher, and you know,
And he's been smashing people.
yeah, with a certain brew of Affinity that's a very
Yeah.
unique take on the deck, and he is annihilating. So I kind of talked to him briefly about it, but I'm going to sit down and we'll go into some heavy modern discussion about this deck, because if you're playing modern, I think this deck like might be one of the decks of the future. So
Yeah.
be sure to tune in next week.
It looks wild. But
Oh, it's nuts, dude. You see some of the screenshots I sent you, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about this next week once
Yeah.
we got more info.
So
on
that's a preview. Modern is, yeah. I mean, the teams that what else did well at Modern is 2 mono green Tron.
Yeah. Mono green Tron in first and second. And you know what's funny about this mono green Tron being in first and second is I think it was last week or the week before that Ross Merriam wrote an article on SEG talking about how nobody plays Tron at team events. It's like such an absurdly low number of people who have played like all year long at the SEG team events, and talking about why. And then now, first and second place.
Was he saying it wasn't good or something?
what was his reasoning?
I don't remember what the reasoning was, but he made some conclusions about like having to do with like teammates, I think, and I don't know. But if you wanted to go look it up, you can find it. It was written by Ross Merriam, but I read it so long ago, I don't really remember what he concluded. But it's funny that he wrote this article and now
then first and second
in Modern Tron, yeah.
Yeah, and then Jeskai Control and Storm
Yeah.
was 3rd and 4th to round out the top 4. But you know, again, like I feel like it was pretty diverse. There's a lot of control decks in the team events. I'm not surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Goryo's As Foretold in 10th, which I find hilarious. But it's cool. Amulet Titans like still lingering around, which is cool. I think that deck's probably like been nerfed enough that it's like in the right spot. Like it's a player in the format, but it's not dominant.
And see, that doesn't surprise me because his teammate is Edgar Magoez,
Who is
from Canada, who like smashes people with
yes, he
Amulet.
played that deck at the Invitational. He's the one who played it at the SCG Invitational last season, correct?
Yeah.
He's a very good player.
Yeah.
Yeah, good player.
Really big proponent of that deck in Modern.
Yeah, and Daryl Ayers is a good player as well, who played it.
What's so funny?
Derry Layers.
Yeah.
So if you read the letters of his name wrong, that's how you can't instantly cracked up. I knew he was going to. Derry Layers.
Yeah, like the way the kerning on the letters of like SCG's font, when they put up the name Daryl Ayers, it looked like Dairy Layers. And at the time, we were joking around with a friend that he only we're just referencing the concept of layers a lot because he only liked food with a lot of layers and music with a lot of layers and stories that had layers to it so you could really be understood. And then Dairy Layers pops up on the screen and yeah, cracked up.
Everybody, that was his nickname in a group chat for a long time. Yeah, we talked about something having high LPM as like a
layers per minute,
per minute as like a
song.
joke.
Yeah,
for songs, but also just a high layering rate.
Yeah,
like an HLR would mean that it's a good novel or like a good book. That's how you rate something's aesthetic. That you rate something's aesthetic quality.
Is a book more have a higher percentage to be rated as a high layer read if it literally has many more pages?
Well, yeah, there's more layers.
It contributes,
but like trees,
it's not a dominating factor though.
Can a book that has only 100 pages still be considered an HLR?
Yeah, well then you need a high layers per page.
Yeah, there's not. Okay. It has to be a lot of layers on the page itself. See, there's layers of the amount of layers there are.
We can dive deep into this.
Yeah, this onion
is complex.
Is a large onion. Yeah,
it's a large onion.
It'll make you cry.
Speaking of layers,
it'll make you so disappointed. Like pop-up books though are on like a whole different spectrum, right? Because like in one way,
transcended layers.
Yeah, exactly. In some ways, you want to say like, oh, that has a low LPM. There's not a high layer per minute here, right? Like its LPM is low, but at the same time, it's on a different plane.
Yeah.
Of existence, as far as the novel goes. So it's
when you have to really consider, do the layers jump out at you?
Right. So I think that this is a good way to assess a work of art assessing its layers per minute because, it helps you take the form of something into account, not just the content, right? Like it's like Marshall McLuhan said, you have to but the form, the meaning, the medium is the message, has a lot of LPM.
Yeah.
We've derailed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Magic has a lot of high LPM.
It does. There are tons of layers.
Yeah, it has a story, has this kind of weird aesthetic and the rule placement all structured together. Sometimes there's a flavor win, right? Where
your constructed decks are 60 layers.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where a card's rules and its flavor text and its style all blend together, right? That's a high LPM card.
Those are, well-designed cards.
Yeah, that's
everything makes sense.
It does all tie back to Magic. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. It's because Magic is a high LPM game.
I remember it was one of the Kiora cards. Someone didn't quite understand the new how a creature that she had picked up on worked. Does it deal damage? Does it take damage? Can it block? No, it's just it can do everything. It's just in a bubble. And they're like, oh, a bubble, that makes sense, and then resolved it perfectly. It's a well-designed card.
Yeah, get bubbled.
Yeah,
yeah. That's just a high LPM.
Yep.
Okay. Standard.
Yeah, standards around. Pretty low LPM format. We can skip it.
Okay, so before we move on to standard, because we've been talking about Legacy Modern, I just want to say it's weird seeing both Legacy and Modern in what I think actually might be a healthy place.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're
both
weird. Doing well because usually it's always been one or the other is trashed here.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't really ever consider Legacy at all because it's.
I'm the only one who really will talk about it, old DWC resident legacy expert.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really supported that much. You see, 1 GP a year.
Yeah,
it's.
I still follow motor results.
It's been supported a lot more recently with the rise of team events.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have definitely been talking about it more because of that. But I think the Deathrite Shaman ban actually was quite good. It's a very good ban, and it's
yeah. I mean, it's been being discussed for forever.
Yeah, and I'm just
don't see much of it because Legacy isn't that pushed of a format.
But I'm always really skeptical of bans, and I think this one was great. From the results we're seeing, Modern's in a great state. And speaking of great states, I think Standard is too.
Oh, Standard's fantastic.
Standard's phenomenal right now.
There's so many things you can be doing, and this team event doesn't really do it justice because all I see on this first screen is red black aggro, Grixis control, Grixis mid range. You know,
Wait, Grixis control? This just got to be blue-black
I
control.
mean,
Bulls,
no, but
right?
like notably, first place was mono green aggro, and in fourth was a green black constrictor decks that, in the entirety of the last season, never showed up in a top 8 once.
true.
There are
Right.
green cards in a top 8,
Yeah,
multiple green cards in a top 8.
in like an
I
early
that
top 8 of the format. Like,
Constrictor is just here, man. Like, don't tread on me. You know what I mean? Nothing changed. Like, they're just holding on to their old 1840s values.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is funny. We talked about a lot last standard season on the podcast how green was unplayable, and you never saw it in top 8s, and we made jokes about making green great again. Turns out all you have to do is print a hexproof 5/3 that can't be blocked.
That the best decks in the format can't interact with at all.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
I don't think we will ever come to the conclusion that was the incorrect amount of heavy-handedness. I think it was like exactly what they needed. It's not too strong. It wasn't pushed. It's that card is it's in the right spot.
It's fine.
Shouldn't have been 4/3. Shouldn't have been something else. It just, shouldn't have cost 5.
I think it's fine.
It's fine.
Can still get
It's just a little heavy-handed.
Gets blocked by Chain Whirler. Thank God we didn't ban Chain Whirler, guys.
Yeah, it was the only chance it had.
Jeez.
Jeezy beats.
What would we have done?
Yeah, but like, nah, it's fine. Like, yeah, there's like an obnoxiously powerful card in green. Good. Like,
Yeah, 'cause it had nothing
yeah,
previously.
like before it was just like dies to removal.
But yeah, like just looking at the Moto 5-0 list, it's crazy. Blue Black Gift, Esper Control, Constrictor, Grixis Dragons, Grixis Virtuoso Midrange, Mono Black Aggro, Zombies,
I'm
Mono
surprised the zombies
Mono
managed
Blue
to 5-0.
Artifact
Pull up
Storm.
that zombies list. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't even believe it either.
Zombies?
Yeah.
Pull up that zombies list.
Okay.
We're putting this guy under the lights.
Look at all these zombies.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah, I mean, Diagraph Ghoul is a nuts card. Walk the plank.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Lord of the Curse sucks, though.
I mean, double Lord is pretty good. Having double, like the curve, I like that the curve on this deck is low, and they didn't try and play Lily on it because that card sucks.
Yes.
Like the planes, like
the
I don't
Planeswalker
think
Liliana
the
is very
4-mana
bad.
one from M19.
I'm
That
not
card's
sure.
unplayable.
I think it's unplayable in every deck aside from this one.
But I
And
don't think
it's
you
unplayable in
need
this
it.
one too.
I
Yeah,
don't think so.
I think it is.
I don't know.
It's not good enough.
Like the curve. Okay, I will say this guy did build mono black zombies how I think it needs to be built, which is just like 8 1-drops, 8 2-drops, 8 3-drops,
That's a curve.
And then
Yeah.
some removal to
and then
fill in
some
the gaps
removal and
and-
4 Liliana's Masters.
Yeah.
That's like
I think it's the best you can do.
this is clean. You know what I mean? And like Scrap Heap Scrounger is nuts, and yeah, it's playing that as one of its 2-drops. Like the deck's good and has a lot of recur. I'm still skeptical, but if you're gonna build zombies, I think this is the best list. Like the best way to take it is
okay.
low to the ground.
Yeah, maybe I'm like
Because you have to take advantage of Diagraph Ghoul because it's a
Yeah.
1-mana 2/2.
this will win games where your opponent stumbles or you have like a well-timed removal spell early because your threats are so efficient for their mana cost.
Yep.
In Scrounger and 2/2s and stuff. But it's also a deck that's like so incredibly linear that if you play against a deck that has 2 pieces of removal, you can't win that game.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, letting me continue on my rant. There's also mono blue artifacts, mono green, mono white, red black, red green mid range, red green Sarkhan's Unsealing,
that's not a surprise.
blue white gift, blue white control, white black knights. Like there's so
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. You can play anything. Like, I mean, I think the deck dump that we did last week, you know, where we just posted a bunch of deck lists and like, sorry, the image quality is like not the greatest because we just like threw them together in X Mage because it was the fastest way for us to do it without like the you don't own this card on Moto, you know, and
Yeah.
or uploading them to like what's it called?
Typing to 10 decks and
Typing out 10 deck lists is just so annoying. So we just did it that way. But like, yeah, people liked it and it was hyped to do it. But I think like our deck dump conversation last week kind of really did also reveal this. Like those decks that we talked about were in the list Stelly just read. Black,
Mhm.
White Knights, Mono Blue, you know, like
Sarkhan's Unsealing.
Sarkhan's Unsealing. That is not surprising. That deck is insane in my opinion.
Dude,
Phil
even,
thinks it's gimmicky, but
even both these mono blue artifact decks are different. One of them's playing Metalwork Colossus, and the other one's with Paradox Engine. The other one's playing Paradoxal Outcome Storm.
yeah. Wait, is that one with the machine in the other deck?
Yeah, can draw 10 cards with a Metalwork Colossus.
Yeah, I know that not. That's not.
How does this win once it's like comboing with Colossus?
I don't know, make a million. mana.
Reservoir.
Yeah, there is Reservoir.
there's Reservoir,
You
okay.
could also just
So I lost.
attack with your 10/10s.
I was playing red
Yeah,
black
sure.
aggro on Arena, and I lost to this deck, and I got stomped.
Yeah.
They just played Reservoir and Outcome and just like comboed off with Ornithopter and Psy and like a bunch of other stuff, and I just couldn't do anything and died.
You also
gained like a million life. Just
this
killed
deck plays Walking Ballista on the sideboard, and you can just make a shitload of mana with your Prophetic Prisms and Paradox Engine, like constantly untapping them and make like a huge Ballista. Relatively easy.
Yeah, I lost quite handily to this deck. I think this deck's quite good. So yeah, like this again is a list we posted in the deck dump, like a similar thing, right? Like, yeah, I mean you can standard's wild, man. You can play whatever you want. Actually, there's people playing mono white. What is in that mono white list?
Let me pull it up. Where is it? Mono white.
Because that's a deck list like we didn't post. Yeah, Resplendent Angel. We just couldn't get Resplendent Angel to be good. Maybe it's Benelish Marshall is the key.
Yeah. Yeah, Ballista, Knight of Grace, Marshall, Resplendent
I failed
Angel,
to believe this deck is good. What?
Shalai, Angel Sanctions Lyra, Heart of Kieran, History.
I cannot believe this deck 5-0'd, but I do believe it because Resplendent Angel is crazy and everything around it sucks. But that card is nuts. And Lyra, the same thing.
Yeah, man.
We're also seeing like WotC still kind of handpicks these 5-0 things that they release to like to showcase diversity in the format, right?
Yeah.
So like they're not telling you how many people tried to play mono white and one of them 5-0'd.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it is good though.
Who knows?
Maybe.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
Probably
solid,
not.
Solid maybe.
I don't know.
I think the mono white and zombies deck are probably both secretly actually pretty bad, but
Yeah.
I know. So I mean, Sarkhan's on ceiling. Like I'm not sure. Like I keep thinking like that
It's
deck's
sweet.
probably not that
It's
good either.
sweet, but
I'm
you got-
undefeated with it. I can't lose, man. Deck nuts. Gigantosaurus is the truth, dude. You just plague win them. They take 4, and then you have a 10-10 on turn 5.
Yeah.
On turn 4 in your best draws.
I can see if you're playing against a format that has a crap ton of creature decks, this deck is probably unbeatable.
Yeah.
Even against control.
Yeah, against control, it's very good. If they resolve Sarkhan's on ceiling, like
Well, yeah, if they resolve Sarkhan's and Ceiling.
yeah. The problem, like I was playing control recently on an arena. I've been playing a ton of arena, and I was playing control, like blue-white control, and like I got crumpled by that deck. Just because every threat,
Like if they resolve Sarkhan's on ceiling, it's not hard for them to do because like if you're holding up counter spells on turn 4 for a Sarkhan's on ceiling, that means you're taking 5 multiple times from Steel Leaves. Like
yeah, like that was the issue.
they can't sit around to counter only Sarkhan's on ceiling because everything else in your deck is so efficient and threatening.
I just died to like 3 massive hits where I was like, oh.
Like they do, they get to just like
Yikes.
attack for lethal, and you have to settle or do something.
You have to like fumigate.
Then
or
they
settle
resolve
big.
a Sarkhan.
Yeah, like just one creature because you're like, I can't take another hit for 10. You know, like so I got to fumigate this one dumb Gigantosaurus.
Go to 11. Your turn.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't know. It's pretty funny. I don't know what like. I want to play more with that deck because like the green red monsterish deck is like pretty good. I think that deck should probably just play Phoenix. Like cut Gigantosaurus so its mana is better and play Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a dino, but I mean it's rekindling Phoenix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a good card, right? And it triggers unsealing still.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, like minor mode.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm
There's lots of
sticking
ways
to it.
Okay.
The best list I played in testing, by the way, on those deck dumps has got to be the Sifter Worm deck.
Oh, yeah.
That deck is so sweet. It just couldn't lose. It's so good. So people were wondering what my favorite was. Trials was pretty good too. Benson, who has been on the show, I'm talking to him on Saturday night when we were at like Louis' house, and he's like, "So like, do you think that deck's real?" I was like, "I mean, enough that I posted it. You know what I mean? Enough that I wasn't too embarrassed by like it's
You were pretty embarrassed.
yeah, but I still posted it, right?" And he's like, "All right, I was trying to find all the pieces for it." I'm like, "I mean, what do you mean find all the pieces? It's just grab your draft Jeff from like Am and Kent an hour, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, he's like, "But I want to foil it out." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's gonna be my deck for the rest of the season." I was like, "Why are you trolling me right now?" Because he was like dead serious, I think. But I couldn't tell if he was trolling me or not.
That's funny.
Because he knew I was like insecure about, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's probably so bad.
Just twisting that knife.
Well, I mean, Carnage Tyrant pretty good.
Yeah.
Prediction. We're gonna have a whole episode about this, but like prediction about the most offensive cards post rotation.
Carnage Tyrant Vinemare.deck. Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, get out of my game.
Okay.
I don't know why you're trying to interact. that guy's dead.
Force don't rotate. Still got Llanowar House and Steelers champion.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
just play Vinemare, Carnage Tyrant, like, dot deck. I don't, like, is that not a series, like, that's not
Does much of this deck rotate?
It's going to be an issue.
that, is that not, no, like, none of it rotates, man. It's gonna be so obnoxious.
Yeah.
And, like, you have, like, the 2-drop, you have Thorn Lieutenant, too.
Yeah. Have some mono green overlords for a while.
Hype.
Yeah. Sweet. Make green great again.
Pete's gonna play standard again, I guess.
Like the Wrath
Dude,
options.
they have trample and stuff, too. Oh, he's in.
Like you lose the good Wrath options, too.
Yeah, what are you gonna play? Cleansing?
Yeah, like Cleansing Nova, probably not good enough.
Probably. Definitely.
I mean, it's not.
Phyrexian Scriptures,
That card's pretty
they still have Brontodon.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
old Bronze boy.
That card's so
Man, that card's
good.
great.
Yeah, it's unreal. Just off my Llanowar Elves, I got a turn 2, 3, 4 that like will
Yeah.
get you later if you try any shenanigans.
Like these mono green decks, I don't think they're playing for Thorn Lieutenant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
some are.
well,
Some
the
are,
one that
okay.
won, the one that won the team again in standard is.
Yep.
Some of the preliminary lists weren't.
Yeah,
And I
well,
was gonna
they're
say that,
learning
like,
pretty quickly.
You can replace your Scrap Heaps and Hearts post rotation with more Thorn Lieutenants pretty easily.
I mean, they're already just playing them because I think they're learning like how
Yeah.
good it is.
And like
They'll
Branch
print-
Walker is a pretty easy slot in post rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Jade Light Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to print more green cards as well. So you never know.
To be safe, they just don't print green.
And it just doesn't matter.
It's just not a color anymore.
It won't matter.
Well, isn't Celestia one of the first guilds?
I don't know which ones are first.
I think Celestia is one of the first
it
guilds.
might be.
Hey, maybe green white will be playable because it hasn't been, right? Think all of like mono green variants. It's like green blue, green black, right?
Man, that-
green red,
Yeah.
green white is just,
Shalai's a good green white card.
oh yeah. No, there's a potential that green white becomes very good. I can't wait for like
Give my
spoilers so we
Vinemare-
can do like
My Vinemare will have double hexproof.
because like an episode about like what's rotating and what might be good will be like a really good episode because like
Mhm.
I don't know, this format's like got a lot of ones like the power difference between the formats was really high, right? Like when you think about like obviously Kaladesh and that era versus like Ixalan, right? Like Kaladesh was like so much more powerful.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like rotation is gonna be so interesting.
Mhm.
Most of our card evaluations up till this point have been like, especially the newer cards from even Amonkhet, but Amonkhet, Ixalan, Dominaria, they've all been kind of like in relation to how these cards can support the haymakers from Kaladesh and the Scarab God.
Yeah.
So like having to reevaluate them on like what can this card actually like, is it just good on its own?
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild time. I'm excited.
Me too. It's going to be great. Anyway, we've talked enough about the week that was.
Did you even play any Magic? I
I've
played a
just
lot
been playing
online.
online.
Yeah, me too. We've
That's
been
all
playing
I've
a lot online. Man,
Yeah.
Arena's pretty good for that. I've been trying it out.
Games are fast.
I also like that I can play
Play that
limited
well.
on there fast and like it's easy. Although it's like not real drafting, it's
Yeah.
still fun.
It's still beta though, so we'll get there.
I've been busy.
Yeah, you doing some schoolwork?
Oh yeah.
Doing a little bit of research?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it.
Investigating various troubles in the world of Azeroth.
Oh yeah. It's you know,
Oh, you're on the
Yeah,
World of
when-
Warcraft.
yeah, got back on the train.
yeah,
Addiction again,
yeah,
eh?
yeah.
Oh man.
We like switched. We did a baton handoff because
Yeah.
like I spent the last like 4 months just playing video games like 10 hours a day, and then like I got some work and started research, and like I started teaching in September,
Yeah.
and then I just like haven't been playing video games lately. Like I'll play like some Magic Online stuff or whatever, right? But like otherwise, I've been out and about, or, like
Yeah.
doing some training for like some other stuff. I've been like coaching people and powerlifting, and then like. Yeah, Cam just has taken the baton and now he just plays video games 10 to 12 hours a day. We like switched off. Our internet can only handle so much. Well, that's not true. But
yeah. I don't know. It's a pretty good lifestyle.
I know I miss
Not
it.
bad.
I should quit my research job. Go back to getting flamed by
Yeah,
12-year-olds.
I haven't
didn't-
been doing nothing. Just like
You didn't go to school for 12 years to work a job. Come
12
on.
and a half, sir.
Come on, man.
12 and a half. Come on.
All right. So we've got a topic for getting better this week. Playing your deck like it's stacked, asterisk. As
Yeah,
in,
don't
not,
actually stack
not
your deck.
actually stacking your
Yeah,
deck and
don't
cheating.
cheat. Jeez. What was that guy? Steven something? Was that his name? The guy who like stacks 7 in his palm. Like it was
At
like
the
on his
browser or
lap,
something?
yeah.
No, he had him palmed.
Oh.
He was that good, man.
Oh yeah, and
I
he'd put
can't
it like
remember
his
his
opponent
name.
would cut, then he'd put him on top.
Yeah,
and
when
then
he
he would
draw
draw those
7.
7.
Yeah.
He was just like he was killing people with
can't-
Amulet Titan, right? He got Titan banned.
Yeah.
This deck's way too consistent.
And he was turn 2ing people because he had 7 stacked. Yeah, man. I think it was I don't know. Apologies to all Stevens out there.
That's got to be hard if you're like playing with sleeves. How big was this guy's hands?
Yeah, dude, fat hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he was just straight palm. And we're not advocating stacking your deck like that, you know? That's the steroid stacks. We're clean. We're natty players.
But yeah, so the topic is how to play like your deck is stacked, and this is kind of how to play to maximize the potential draws your deck can produce.
Mm-hmm.
And to make sure that you're not wasting any of that potential by, you know, only playing with the cards in your hand. And it's kind of a topic we've talked about before, but it's more so important now, and you can do it more now, especially in Standard, because it's such a large Standard format. All this sort of fluff and filler cards that decks were playing because they had to have been removed. And every card in your deck now is of like a suitable power level that you can assume that you will draw powerful and relevant cards in most draw steps.
Or lands to cast said cards.
And you also kind of, the other aspect of why we're talking about this now is in a Standard format where every deck is powerful, you have to do this to get an edge.
Yeah, like it feels, you know, like the old episodes about like peaks and valleys, right? Those have leveled off.
Yeah.
And so now in a format where all things are equal.
You have to like expect more from your deck and not squander the potential that your draw steps could give you, because if your opponent maximizes those, then like you'll lose. Even if you have a bunch of good cards in your hand, like sequencing them wrong or whatever, you'll lose. So like, yeah.
So how does that work out then in gameplay?
Well, you were mentioning that you've noticed it affect your mulligan decisions.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed playing Standard recently. Well, I was playing a lot of red-black aggro. I played a lot. Holy man, I've been grinding a lot of Standard actually. So yeah, I played some red-black aggro, and I kept some hands that I think maybe this just isn't a good example for this season because red-black's always been powerful. But with that deck in general, it's a good example of just like your deck is powerful.
A deck that has a lot of,
there were hands where I'm like, I don't like. I have like a scrap heap on 2 and then like a 4-drop. And then like unlicensed and 4 lands. I'm like, I don't know, you know? But then I'm like, wait, like my deck is just like everything on the curve is good. Every spot on the curve is fine. Like, and it'll fill out. Like I don't have to mull this because I'm not going to draw like Shock, because Shock isn't in my deck. Like it's mono red, right? Like I'm going to draw like Chandra, Chain Whirler, like relevant cards. And and then it affects my decision. And I'm like, wait, my deck is just powerful. Like I can just keep this hand and like, you know, it has a reasonable mix. It's not very, what I'm saying is like, you don't have to keep hands that are like busted, you know, like you can keep ones that are medium, I think a lot safer now, and not worry about like drawing your Shocks and Bomats too late and then dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't, like before, if you're playing decks that have a bunch of 1-drops are only good on 1, right? It's kind of awkward. But that deck, it's like you can draw Soul Scar late and use it to do something relevant because you can put minus counters on things or like whatever, especially with the like green-black snaking making a bigger comeback. But even I noticed with like control decks now with like the way they're built, the same thing. You can sort of keep looser hands, like, and you'll be fine. Green decks though were the real thing, right? Like I was like, I don't know if I can keep this like this hand that's just like 2 and 3 drops. And then I'm like, wait, I'm just gonna draw like, you know, my insane green cards that are like I'm gonna draw just Steel Leaf on turn 3 anyway. Like you know what I mean? Or like
the medium hands out of mono green panned out a lot less often when your draws involved a Merfolk Branchwalker or
right, like
whatever else.
You're hoping to cycle that card. Now I'm just drawing like cards that are insanely powerful late. Like now I'm drawing Thorn Lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not drawing Merfolk Branchwalker late. I'm drawing a 6/7.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge difference. So like I can keep this hand that doesn't have a good 2-drop and not have to worry about drawing my 2-drops later. Before, when you played green, this is like maybe the best example. Before, when you played green, if you draw like a Merfolk Branchwalker on turn 8, you're like, ugh. Now you draw Thorn Lieutenant, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I drew a 6/7, that's fine. Right? So like,
it's all right.
You don't have to worry about drawing your early drops late anymore in Standard, it feels like, with the creature decks. And that's what made green good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know. You've been playing Standard and stuff on Arena too. Like, you notice this? Like,
yeah, I'd say so. Like I've been mostly playing red-black a lot and blue-black Splashing Bolus. And like you're just a deck full of like haymakers and great cards. Like you can keep mediocre starts, and all your draws are great. It's not like So another deck I've been playing around online, this will be a good comparison, is a 5-color Dragons deck.
Yeah, decks. It's like red black
So-
splashing every other dragon, right?
Yeah, so you're a Sarkin Dragon Hordes deck, and you're playing Bolus. You're also playing Palladia Moors, Varix Bladewing, Glorybringer, Demanding Dragon.
Daragaz.
Yeah, like and this is the kind of deck where keeping a mediocre hand doesn't pan out because you can just draw awkward top end and not get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can just draw 7 drops and don't draw
Yeah.
any enablers. Like
Yeah.
you don't draw Sarkin, or you draw Sarkin and it dies immediately,
Mhm.
or you draw like Dragon's Horde and it gets abraded,
Yeah.
and then your hand does nothing and you die.
And whereas, when you have decks like more tier 1 decks, you'd have decks like blue black or Grixis and mono green, red black aggro. That doesn't happen with these decks. And a lot of tier 1 in standard right now is they don't have these awkward clunky draws.
Right,
You
so
know what I'm saying?
you can keep these like looser hands with the tier 1 decks,
Yeah.
because they're safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Because most of their draws are good, right? And
Yeah.
they also get in like way better top deck positions because of it too, right? Because like a Champion of Wits late is going to be good, or Scarab God's Game Over.
I think that Dragon's deck, like I agree that you can't keep like these loose hands and hope it pans out, but you also still have to like use this concept of playing like your deck is stacked and assuming you'll draw certain things, because in that deck it affects your mulligan decisions in that you have to keep hands that have enablers. Like if you have land Sarkon Dragon's Horde and there isn't a payoff in your hand,
You'll find one.
You can't mulligan it because it doesn't have a payoff. You have to assume you'll draw one.
Yeah, but like that's the sort of like mulligan decisions that like you would normally make among weaker decks.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The mulligan decisions now are like, do I have lands and spells? Like it feels
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
in most
funny.
decks,
Like most of the tier 1 decks, right? Like I would keep like, I don't know, like
the range
I
of
don't know
hands
if-
you keep with the tier 1 decks is a lot broader.
Yeah, it feels like that because the deck is so stacked, right? That's what it feels like right now in standard for me. I don't know if other people have different experiences, but lately that's how it's felt when I've played all these different tier 1 decks. I'm like, keep, I look at a hand, I'm like, lands and spells, keep, unless it's like really bad, it's just like 5 lands, 2 Torrential Gearhulks. And even then I'm like, well, how many Torrential Gearhulks are really left in my deck? Like, I mean, there's 4 Sealaways. Like, who knows what I'll draw? You know what I mean? Like,
even playing and testing a bit of that Ajani Constrictor deck. Yeah, I'd keep hands that like looked weak because they had all the colors. Because that's the hardest part of that deck to bring together is the mana base. And if the mana base was fine in my 7, then like I will draw into good things.
yeah, exactly. And the late game is actually shockingly good in that deck with a Johnny. And that changed that deck as well. And that the late game is more powerful. So like first step is like you have to understand when you're playing a deck that's like stacked or not stacked, like that has to affect your mulligan decision, how your deck is like how your deck is stacked, I guess, right? Like it's power level. Like, do you need these cards to function, because you have the potential to draw garbage?
Yeah.
Because even like that's why red was such a problem in some ways, right? Like we talked about this.
It would have games where it looked absolutely dominating, where it went like 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. Hazaret got contempted, but then its next 2 draw steps were like Shock Lightning Strike and the opponent died.
Well, no, it's because all draws are stacked. Like that's why red decks were good for so long for the year, because like Bomat late game's still fine because it's going to cycle into other cards.
Yeah.
Right? Like Chandra late game, nuts.
Yeah, but like the red deck also like
I mean, like red black is like
red black, sure. 'Cause I
Mono
thought-
red is risky.
I thought the point you were going to make was like with mono red, like it would have draws that look nuts, but it would also have draws where like it drew the shock, and then instead of lightning strike, it would draw a Kenra that couldn't get through, and then it would lose.
Yeah, yeah. That's like mono red's life.
Yeah,
Mono red just lives and dies by the Aaron Price. Like that's just how that deck rolls. Which like some people love the thrill.
Yeah, you have to keep hands that like you can set up. If I draw a strike, I win.
We'll get old Phil Sams on here to talk about what to keep with red decks.
Yeah,
We're gonna get
He is
noted
way better on
smart
it.
god Phil Sams on next week because he's in town.
he's in town
Oh,
this
is he in
Sunday.
town
Yeah.
next
yeah,
week?
and he wants to be on.
Oh,
he asked
nice.
me,
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, we'll get him back.
and he's
Second time on the show.
noted Canadian icon, smart god Phil Sams.
Oh, yeah.
He'll come talk about aggro and tell us how dumb we are. So that'll be nice. And he'll give you some tips. But yeah, the other thing is like just in the game itself, right? Like not mulligans, but like when your deck, playing like
Yeah.
your deck is stacked has to make decisions for you about like
So-
how you prioritize removal as well.
Yeah, that's our point B is prioritizing removal. And this is less so like, is my deck stacked in that what's like the average density of good cards? But this is more like, I have to assume that certain types of cards will appear in the next, 3 or 4 cards on top of my deck, that I will draw something. And I think sort of the motivating example that inspired us to come up with this topic a while ago is I was playing some games of Esper Control with our friend Matt. And he had a Gear Hulk that he was going to flash in, and he had a choice between casting a Glimmer out of his graveyard or a Contempt out of his graveyard. And he wanted to use the Contempt because they had some creature that they needed to remove. They had like a god and some other creature. We had a Contempt in hand, and he just wanted to get rid of both things so that Scarab could start, or Torrential could start attacking. But what I suggested, the better play is that, like, that's exactly how those decks lose, is when you don't assume that your deck will draw more removal, and you try and only use the stuff that's in your hand and in your graveyard. Because other decks can outdraw you. You don't have this, like, big haymaker, like Sphinx's Rev to catch you up in card advantage. So you have to milk every Glimmer twice to stay ahead on cards, and that's how you, like, eventually bury your opponents. And you have to assume that this is fine because you will find some other removal spell in the top 4. And so he went with what I said and Glimmered, scryed 2 bottom, drew 2 that weren't removal, but then the 5th card was a cast down, and then we got to cast down Contempt and still attack and had 3 more cards. Like, you have to assume
and got to scry bottom.
And got to scry bottom, like a bunch of things we didn't want. Like, you have to assume that you put these cards like Glimmer in your deck to draw cards, that it will draw what you need. Because if you don't use it for that, then you're saying that, like, the top 5 cards of my deck aren't good enough. And then if you're admitting that, then why did you put those cards in your deck? Why are you, like...
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. Like, then why are you playing it? Right? Like, if you're not gonna, that's your strategy to win. Like, is assuming your deck is stacked with removal cards and card draw. So, like, but it doesn't matter if it's stacked with removal if you don't draw cards. So, yeah, you have to play like it's stacked with removal, which it is. That's the entire point of the deck.
And yeah, it feels kind of like risky when you're doing it, because you're like, I have 2 or 3 things I need to kill, and I have 1 removal spell, and I'm going to not cast a removal spell I could have had access to. But then you just find like 3 more and it's fine. But it's something you have to kind of like get over that initial, like, I might die to these if I don't, like, if I miss. But you can't assume that you'll miss.
Yeah, right. Like, that's what I'm, that's kind of like the point of this whole topic is, like, you can't assume you're just like the worst case. Because I feel like you lose those games anyway. Right? Like, there are times you don't and you can really squeeze out, but you should need to make that assessment of like how your deck is built. And that's the whole point here is, like, if your deck is built in a way that's like designed to play a certain game plan, you have to play towards that, like towards that. Yeah. Your deck is stacked to that game plan. Like, it has a purpose to do exactly what you want it to. So, like, you have to take that risk. Like, okay, well, hopefully my deck functions. I'm going to play as if my deck will function.
Exactly.
As it's designed and meant to be played.
And so then when it does, you are leveraging the full power level of your deck, which is the point I was making, that if you don't do that, then you'll be playing on, like, you know, half your cylinders firing, and your opponent might have everything going for them, and then you'll lose, even if you're like playing the mirror.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of this can tie into, especially when maybe the board's at parity or you're a little bit behind when it comes to knowing when you have to push in damage, like evaluating where you are in the game state, and that, you know, I have these amount of cards that are outs that if I'm pushing damage now, then if I draw these X cards, I'll be able to win the game and leverage that damage that I was pushing through.
A good example in Limited is, like, maybe I can start attacking and my small creatures will get in and my medium creatures will trade. And this will be good because I can continue trading medium creatures while my small creatures kill them if I draw something that is a 3/3 or bigger.
Yeah.
And if you know your deck has those, then you have to assume that you'll draw them.
Yeah.
Because if you just sit around and wait, then, like, you'll die to the flyer that's hitting you or whatever.
I mean, I assume mono red decks now with the Wizards build, like, have to do the same thing of, like, they have to assume their deck is stacked with direct damage, and they will reach a point where they can't attack anymore safely, but they can draw, like, a running pair of, like, Wizards Lightning Strike, Viashino Pyromancers. Like, they can draw, like, the last 5 damage. Like, if you can get your opponent to 5 and you're still at 20 and they're not, like, gonna die in 3 turns, you can play towards, like, well, that's what I have to do. Like, I just have to set it because I can't win other, like, you know what I mean? So, like, you have to play towards, like, your deck being stacked with,
you can suicide some little creatures in to push in maybe 2 extra damage because your deck is full of all these things you just
and if you don't draw those, like, okay,
because you're going to lose anyway.
Then you're going to lose anyway. So,
especially with the Flame of Killed versions, this is a point that you were making, Adam, is that, like, you can waste, like, if they have, I don't know, some blocker in the way that you don't really want to spend removal on, just remove it. Like, use your Lightning Strike, play your creatures, attack, because you need to empty your hand because you've planned to draw a Flame of Keld eventually.
Right, like, you want to draw Flame of Keld
and if
later.
Yeah, and if you're playing conservatively, as if you're not going to draw it, and then you do, you won't have enough mana in that turn to use all your cards. And so you'll be further behind than if you planned for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This goes the same thing in, like, Limited and Standard when you're playing, like, mid-range decks, right? You got to think about like, do you want to be in a position where you make the game go long? Like, do you want to go face here? Or like, because some decks have better top decks than others. Right?
Yeah, which is one of the big things. It could be, you could trick yourself if you're not really evaluating which deck has the more powerful top decks. Like, are you playing against a deck with Scarab God? Like those generally the decks that are playing Scarab God are these crazy, game-ending cards have better top decks. So you don't want to get yourself into this situation.
Yeah, because their deck is stacked to win the late game.
Yes. Like the example here is you can't, just because you put 4 Contempts in your deck and some card draw, if you know you're playing against the Scarab God, you can't just fire off the first Contempt on something small.
Because your deck isn't stacked to beat.
Because, assuming, well, I have 3 others and I have some card draw, and, I built my deck to cast Contempts so I can use this one. Because they will beat you at that game. They will beat you in drawing powerful cards that they've put in their deck. And so, there are matchups and scenarios where, you just have to save every card, and you have to assume that, you don't get any more draw steps. This is what you have to beat them with. But
Yeah, exactly.
But even then, actually, even in that scenario, it's just sort of how you prioritize things differently. You have to assume that you saving that Contempt will be fine because you've put other creatures in your deck that can contest the current threats, and that card's reserved for something else. You still have to assume that there are the things you need to win without using that Contempt on anything else.
Yeah,
on the top of your deck.
Assume you can draw other answers to the threats that are currently pressuring you to save your Contempt, and meanwhile maybe use your life total as a resource, or maybe whatever creatures you have on board.
This is kind of like a small example of a topic we've hinted at aspects of before. That episode we had on being patient and saving your card patience is this as well. And it's just thinking in each scenario or in each match how you win that game and playing as if that's going to happen. And then when you lose, you look silly. But when you win, you look like a genius who saw the future.
Right, but that's how you have to play. You have to look through a crystal ball in Magic. You can't, I think this is it depends on the deck, obviously, but I think there are a lot of players and games and situations where you'll benefit by trying to assess the probability that your draws will come together how you want them to.
We've talked about this a lot. You
Yeah.
can't just play with the cards that are in your hand. You have to play with the cards that you could theoretically draw as well.
Exactly, and that's a mistake a lot of people make. They just play with only the resources they have, and they play with a game plan according to only the resources they have. Well, that's not.
Yeah,
there are other cards in your deck that you could draw, right? So
this is actually so if you've ever taught a friend to play Magic or reflected on yourself learning to play Magic, there's these layers that you go through of which information you're considering as relevant, and it starts with what's on my board. That's what's relevant, and then you lose to onboard tricks that they have. Then you consider both boards, and you don't lose to onboard tricks, but you lose to combat spells, combat tricks. Then you think about, my hand, the board, their hand. But then you waste your removal, and they draw something good. You're not thinking about, the next draw steps. And this is just sort of the iteration of...
Yeah, that's a really clear way to describe it, right? Yes. This progression. Yeah, that's really good, yeah. That's a high LPM.
Right. It's just those layers. You got to work your way up. And then, the highest LPM... Well, maybe not even the highest, because the highest would be how is me crumpling them going to affect what this pro brings to the next tournament? But I'm sure there are pro players who consider the way that their opponent uses removal or prioritizes things, how that's going to affect their sideboarding. How far away from the cards on the table are you?
I think that's
right.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. We all do that.
It's cards on the table into cards in hand, into the library, into sideboards, into the next tournament, into what that person's going to
into
post
the
about you
player
on
and
Twitter.
their style and their facial feature, right? We move further and further away from the game itself.
From the obvious pieces of information.
Right, to less and less obvious pieces of information. So maybe there's a future episode play your sideboard stacked. No, I'm just kidding.
There's so many layers to this episode.
Yeah.
Unreal.
What an onion.
All right. We don't have a blowout.
Yeah, send those.
Yeah, we're still doing that.
We literally will give you free cards as long as your blowout's good. It's the winning blowout.
Yeah.
And we don't dig back through messages to oh, we need a blowout, and we dig through and take one that was sent in. If we get multiple per week, we get multiple per week.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely take the winning blowout and we'll send you a prize. And lately they've been we've sent out foil Glorybringers, we've sent out
a bunch of marvels,
a play set of Aetherworks marvels to someone. We'll send whatever, as long as it's not $200.
something reasonable.
Yeah. But like, yeah, we'll mail you a car. Like, it's free. Just send us your sweet blowouts. Competition's always on.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you all for joining the club this week. Make sure, as always, you check out wizardtower.com for all your Magic single needs. Free shipping on singles in Canada. Great events here in Ottawa. And however you listen to this podcast, whether it's on Podbean, iTunes, your podcast app, leave us a review, rate the podcast, share it with your friends. Everything helps it grow. And finally, if you want to get in contact with us, you can find us on Twitter at DWC Podcast 1 or on Facebook, the Disorganized Wizard Club Podcast. Shoot us a message. We love hearing from people and happy to elaborate on anything we talk about in the show or give advice on decks, anything. We're here for you.
Support group, DWC support group.
And please leave a comment on this video, wherever you listen to it, on how many layers per minute you heard in this episode.
And we'll catch you all next week.